Alrighty, folks, it's great to be back here, and we're going to take a look at some Major League Baseball action here today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. But what I'm covering here today is for Friday, July 14th. I don't know what I'm saying. I've been out of practice. We haven't done a video in 5 days. So what are we doing here? Major League Baseball, July 14th, 2023. Now, guys, real quick, if you want to see which one of these plays on my free videos that I'm actually betting on personally, you may want to think about signing up for my $1.99 daily best play on my website. Gives you one personal play of mine every single day for the next 30 days. And yep, you guessed it. It's only going to cost you just $1.99. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. And I currently have over 535 very smart members who have taken advantage of at least a membership on that site. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Padres at the Phillies, 6:05 Eastern first pitch. San Diego's minus 135, totals 9.5. Yu Darvish for San Diego, Christopher Sanchez for Philadelphia. Now, I don't see really any value in laying 35 cents with the Padres on the road here. Yu Darvish has a losing record on the season with an ERA nearly in the fives. Now, the Padres also, well, they can't hit for shit. They've got a bottom five hit-producing lineup. Now, they're facing Christopher Sanchez on the bump for Philly, and he's looked really solid in a handful of starts. The lefty's got an ERA of 2.84. Should be able to kind of neutralize those left-handed bats for San Diego here on Friday. Now, Sanchez also has a stingy 1.03 whip. Now, as a whole, these Philly pitchers have been very tough to hit at Citizens Bank Park this year. The Phils actually allow a league-low 7.1 hits per nine on their home field. That's best in the majors. Excuse me, so excited, choking on my own spit. Josh Harrison's out for the Phils. Total-wise, the Phillies saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games stay under the total. They're also 24-14 to the under at the bank this year. Meanwhile, San Diego's 62% to the under when they bat first. Give me Philadelphia plus $1.15, under 9.5. Next matchup, Marlins O's, 7:05 East. Miami's minus $1.20, totals 8 runs. Sandy Alcantara for Miami, Dean Kramer for the O's. Now, I do like Baltimore in this particular spot here. They're getting a pretty good price point at home where they played some really good baseball. They've also got Dean Kramer on the mound who continues to win ball games. Kramer's 9-4 with 92 strikeouts on the season. And out of Kramer's last dozen starts, the Orioles lost only 3 games, and they scored a whole bunch of runs in the process. Adley Rutschman has a dozen home runs and 39 RBI. Meanwhile, Austin Hayes, he's in the top 5 in the American League in batting average. Now, they're facing Sandy Alcantara for the Fish here today, and he's been pretty suspect this season. The righty's just 3-7 with an ERA close to 5. I've said it before, a stark contrast from where he was last year. Maybe that was a fluke. Maybe he was on the juice. I don't know. But he is nowhere near where he was last season. And even though the Marlins have the best hitter in baseball in the lineup, these Marlins batters have somehow managed to be a bottom 5 run-producing team in the National League. I think the first half of the year might have been a little bit fluky. Look for these guys to maybe crash and burn in the second half. Jazz Chisholm still out for the Marlins. 8 out of Miami's last 10 did get over the total. Baltimore went 70% to the over in their last 10. Give me the O's plus $1, over 8. Next ball game, Giants Pirates, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. San Francisco's minus $1.50, totals 8 runs. Ross Stripling for San Francisco, Rich Hill for Pittsburgh. Now, Rich Hill better look out because the Giants do most of their scoring on the road. The Giants are currently in the top 3 in the National League in walks per 9 while traveling. They're also a top 10 run-producing team on the road as well. Lamont Wade, he's been walked 53 times this year, which is obviously a team best. He's also got himself an OPS of 842. And speaking of OPS, outfielder Austin Slater, he's got an OPS in the 900s. He also hits 342 at the plate. Now they're facing Rich Hill on the other side of things on the mound for Pittsburgh. And he's just one loss shy of double digits already. Hill's got an ERA close to 5, along with a 1.44 WHIP. And out of Pittsburgh's last 9 ball games, as a team, they've gotten the W only 2 times. And they do now find themselves in the bottom 10 in the league in run production offensively. Now the Buccos are also banged up right now. Bay, McCutchen, and Hayes all still out for the Pirates. Meanwhile, for San Francisco, Brandon Crawford is questionable. Tyro Estrada is still inactive. 6 out of Pittsburgh's last 10 outings did get over the total. They're also 25 and 18 at the over at PNC Park. Not a huge fan of this price point here, especially on the road, but I can't really in good conscience back the Pirates here. Give me San Francisco minus $1.50, over 8. Next ball game, little interleague action here. Diamondbacks at the Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus $1.75 in their own building. Totals 9 runs. Chris Bassett for Toronto. Tommy Henry for Arizona. Now a pretty juicy price point here for a team who loves hitting the ball on the road. And of course, I'm referring to Arizona. The D-backs are a top 3 run producing team while traveling. Corbin Carroll's got 48 runs batted in, as well as an OPS in the 900s and 26 stolen bases. He's currently got himself a 3.7 wins above replacement. No real shock there. This guy is providing some exceptional value. Now, Ketel Marte has also got a WAR of 3.7 himself, and he leads the lineup in hits. And even if the D-backs struggle with Chris Bassett, well, I'll tell you what. Starting pitcher Tommy Henry, he's been pretty darn good on the bump himself. The lefty's 5-1 through 74-plus innings with Arizona, with an ERA in the 3s. And even though there is not much to nitpick when it comes to Toronto, they really haven't been overly selective at the dish this year. They're averaging under 3.2 walks a game in the box. Chris Bassett, he also takes the mound with a handful of losses this year and an ERA of 4.19. Now, 7 out of Toronto's last 10 outings did fall under the total. They're also 8-1 to the under in their last 9 interleague home games. Arizona went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me Arizona plus 1.5, under 9. Next ball game, Dodgers-Mets, 7:10 Eastern start time. The New York Mets are minus $1.20, total 7.5. Justin Verlander for the Mets, Julio Urias for the Dodgers. And even though Urias didn't have a great first half, we are starting to see glimpses of the 2022 Urias, who was awesome. He's now got a winning record with a 1.18 WHIP. Meanwhile, at the plate, the Dodgers have been just giving opposing pitchers nightmares. They walk 4.1 times a game on the road. That is a league best. They're also scoring more runs a game on the road than any other lineup besides one. So they're selective. You got to pitch to them. If you pitch around them, they're not going to swing. They're going to get walked. And if you pitch to them, they're going to pound the baseball. Guys like Mookie Betts, top 3 in the National League in homers and OPS. Mookie's currently got a wins above replacement average of 4.3. And of course, Freddie Freeman, he's got 114 hits on the year. And he ranks in the top 5 in both batting average and OPS. Now they're taking on Justin Verlander, who's recorded just 3 wins this year in 70 innings of work. He does currently have a losing record. And when these guys play in Flushing, Queens, well, they've been in the shitter offensively. You know, kind of a pun, Flushing. Anyway, bad content. Anyway, the Mets, bottom 3 hit-producing team on their home field. Tommy Pham's hurt. Keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, for the Dodgers, Chris Taylor's still out for them. Maybe want to replace him with Joe Flacco. I think, like, those two look alike. It's a Joe Flacco look-alike. Anyway, 3 out of the Mets' last 4 in Flushing fell under. They're also 70% to the under in their last 10, any location. Give me the Dodgers plus $1, under 7.5. Next game, divisional contest, Brewers, Reds, 7:10 East. Cincy's $1.20, total 9.5. Graham Ashcraft for Cincinnati. Corbin Burns for Milwaukee. Now, Burns is starting to turn things around here. He's now got an ERA in the threes, and he continues to strike batters out. The righty's got 102 strikeouts and a 1.14 whip. 1.14 whip. Now, as a team, the Brewers got the W in 6 out of their last 9. They scored 53 total runs during that time frame. Willie Adames, he is the team leader in homers. Christian Yelich, he has the highest OPS average in the lineup. They're facing Graham Ashcraft, who's given up a whole lot of runs this year. The righty's got a 6.28 ERA and a 1.59 whip. Now, the Reds have also had significant problems with NL Central opponents. They've got a losing record in their divisional matchups. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's 17-9 against the NL Central. It's actually been this Cincy pitching staff that's given these guys problems this year. It's really not the bats, it's the pitching. The Reds are allowing 6 runs a game at the Great American Ballpark this year. Tyrone Taylor and Rowdy Tellez still out for the Brewers. Milwaukee saw their last 3 straight on the road get over the total. They're also 8-2 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me Milwaukee plus $1 over 9.5. Next matchup, White Sox Braves, 7:20 Eastern start time. Atlanta's 225, totals 9. Charlie Morton for Atlanta, Michael Kopech for Chicago. And Kopech's rarely resembled the success he had early last season. He got off to a hot start in 2022. This year, not so much. He's 3-7, 1.36 whip. And out of Kopech's last 6 starts, the White Sox got the W just one time. They averaged only 2.4 runs a game in those losses. Now, they got to face Charlie Morton here today, who's punched out 111 batters, and he's just 1 win shy of double digits. And no real shock here, guys. Charlie's got an ERA in the 3s. But even if he does run into some problems, Morton's backed by the most dangerous lineup in the game. These guys are amongst the league leaders in homers and team OPS. Ronald Acuna, he's hitting .331, and he has the second highest batting average in the majors. He's also a top 3 OPS guy, and he has a ridiculous wins above replacement average of 5 flat. Matt Olson, he's second in the majors in both home runs and runs batted in. Luis Robert, he is questionable for Chicago. Keep an eye on him. The White Sox saw their last 4 road games get over the total. 6-3 to the over in their last 9 interleague road games. Meanwhile, Atlanta's gone 28-17 to the over at Truist Park. I can't reasonably back Chicago here, especially with the injury to Luis Robert. Probably won't play, but even if he does, Chicago stinks. Give me the Braves, -1.5, over 9. Next ball game. We're only halfway through this podcast or this video here, guys. Next ball game, Red Sox Cubs, 8:05 East. Boston's $1.20, totals 9. Brian Bayo for Boston, Kyle Hendricks for Chicago. Now, Hendricks really does give these guys a chance to win. He's got an ERA of 3.04 along with a stingy 1.03 whip. Now, the Cubbies also do a nice job in their interleague home games. They've got a 600 win percentage against American League opponents at Wrigley Field. They've also had little issue getting across the bases at home. They're a top 10 run-producing lineup on their own diamond. Christopher Morel's got 103 total bases and an OPS nearly in the 900s. Meanwhile, Nico Horner leads the roster in hits and runs batted in. And even though Chicago's taking on Brian Bayo, the Red Sox have had little success against the National League. They're 11-18 against National League opponents this year. And as good as the Bo Sox have been at the dish at Fenway, they do struggle away from Beantown. The Sox have a bottom 10 run-producing lineup on the road. Pablo Reyes, he's still out for Boston. Swanson, Rios, and Madrigal still out for Chicago. The Cubs are 60% to the under in their interleague home games. Meanwhile, Boston's 9-5 to the under against the National League on the road. Give me the Cubs plus $1, under 9. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Guardians at the Rangers. That'll be an 8:05 Eastern first pitch. Texas is minus 135. Total's 8.5. John Gray for Texas. Aaron Savali for Cleveland. And even though Savali continues to throw well, the Guardians have continuously struggled to score runs. They're a bottom 5 run-producing lineup. They also have to face John Gray here today, who's got dynamic stuff. The righty's got an ERA of 3.29, along with a 1.14 whip. Now, the Rangers have also scored a whole bunch of runs at Globe Life Field. They average over 6.3 runs a game in their own building. That is a league best. Adolis Garcia, he has more RBI than any other player in baseball. Corey Seager hits 353 with an OPS in the thousands. 3 out of Texas's last 4 home games fell under the number. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 at any location. Meanwhile, Cleveland went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Rangers minus 135, under 8.5. Next matchup, Rays Royals 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Tampa Bay is minus 280, totals 8.5. Tyler Glasnow for Tampa Bay. Alec Marsh for Kansas City. Now, the youngster Marsh has an ERA in the 7s after just 9 innings. He's officially 0-2 on the year with a 1.78 whip. Now, these Royals hitters, they've also been pretty pathetic. They score fewer runs per 9 than any other lineup besides one. They're going to face Tyler Glasnow, who's been a big strikeout guy. The righties punched out 64 hitters in just 41-plus innings of work. When it comes to offensive production, the Rays have had little issue touching home plate. They're a top 3 run-producing team in the American League. Yandy Diaz, he has the highest batting average in the American League right now. He's also 7th in the entire big leagues in OPS. Meanwhile, Randy Arozarena, he has the most RBI in the roster, most walks at the plate as well. Now, injury-wise, Olivares and Beatty are still out for KC. The Royals saw their last 3 at Kauffman Stadium get over the total. Tampa Bay saw 3 out of their last 4 road games get over the line themselves. Give me Tampa Bay minus 1.5, over 8.5. Next ball game, Nationals Cardinals 8:15 Eastern start time. St. Louis is minus 165, totals 8 runs. Jack Flaherty for St. Louis. Mackenzie Gore for Washington. Now, Gore's got a good amount of strikeouts. He's fanned 108 batters in just 89-plus innings. And as bad as they've been, the Nats do play their best baseball on the road. Washington's a top 10 hit-producing team away from home. Lane Thomas is hitting 302 at the dish. He's in the top 10 in the National League in batting average. Meanwhile, Jeimer Candelario's got an OPS in the 800s, along with 43 runs batted in. Now, they're taking on Jack Flaherty, who's got an ERA in the 4s, along with a 1.56 whip. These Cards pitchers as a whole, they've been pretty pathetic, especially at home. They're allowing double-digit hits a game at Busch Stadium. Tommy Edman and Andrew Kisner, they are still out for St. Louis. Robles and Pineda out for the Nats. The Cards are they're 60% to the over in front of their own crowd. Give me the Nationals plus 1.5, over 8. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Yankees at the Rockies, 8:40 p.m. East. The New York Yankees are minus 190, totals 10.5. Carlos Rodon for New York, Austin Gomber for Colorado. And don't let Gomber's horrible ERA fool you. He can win ball games. He's not completely helpless. He's actually got 7 wins on the season, and he doesn't have a losing record at the moment, believe it or not. Now, these Rockies hitters, they've also done a nice job this year at Coors Field. They're a top 3 hit-producing lineup on their own diamond. And, of course, All-Star Game MVP, Elias Diaz. He's got 45 RBI and 121 total bases. Ryan McMahon's the club leader in hits. Now, they're facing a Yankee club who lost 4 out of their last 5. They averaged under 3 runs a game during that short time frame. These Yankee hitters are also averaging fewer hits per 9 than any other roster besides Oakland. Judge and Bowers are still out for the Bombers. Charlie Blackmon inactive for Colorado. The Rockies are currently 61% to the under against the American League. Now, the Yankees on the other side, they went 64% to the under against National League opponents on the road. Give me the Rockies plus 1.5, under 10.5 runs. Next matchup, little AL West action. Astros at the Angels, 9:38 Eastern first pitch. The LA Angels are minus 160 at home, total 7.5. Of course, the reason why they are the 60-cent favorite, well, Shohei Ohtani's on the bump for Los Angeles. JP France for Houston. And even though France is having a good year, the Astros did kind of crawl into the All-Star break. Losers of 3 out of their last 4. Actually scored just 6 total runs during that short time frame. Now they're going to have to face Shohei Ohtani, who's 7-4 on the year with an ERA in the 3s. Shohei's punched out 132 hitters and has a 1.10 whip. As bad as the Angels have been lately as a team, they're still a top 10 run producing team. And of course, Show does it all. He's got 32 homers and 71 ribbies. Trout and Drury are both still out for Los Angeles. Anthony Rendon's questionable. Meanwhile, for Houston on the other side, Altuve and Alvarez are still inactive for them. 3 out of Houston's last 4 on the road did fall under the total. They're also 70% to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give the Angels minus 160, under 7.5. Next game, Twins, A's, 9:40 p.m. East. Minnesota's minus 185, total 6.5. Pablo Lopez for Minnesota, Paul Blackburn for Oakland. Now, Blackburn's recorded just 1 win through 37 innings. He's got an ERA close to 5, along with a 1.54 whip. And as bad as the Twins have been at the dish, well, Oakland's been worse. As a matter of fact, they've been worse than everyone. The A's are dead last in run production, and they average a league low 6.8 hits a game in the Coliseum. They're going to have to face Pablo Lopez, who's incredibly tough to hit. He's got 138 strikeouts and a 1.09 whip. Meanwhile, this pitching staff as a whole, well, these Minnesota pitchers have been spectacular. They lead the league in strikeouts per 9 on the road. Polanco, Gordon, and Lewis are still out for the Twins. Laureano, Smith, and Ruiz inactive for Oakland. 3 out of the Twins' last 4 road games fell under the number. They're actually 26-17 to the under in all of their contests away from home. Give me the Twins minus 185, under 6.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be between the Tigers and the Mariners, 10:10 Eastern start time in Seattle. The M's are minus 160, total 7. George Kirby for Seattle, Eduardo Rodriguez for Detroit. And even though Ed-Rod's been real good this year, the Tigers just don't want to win for him. He's 4-5 on the year, and the Tigers, well, they can't hit for shit. They're averaging under 7.6 hits a game on the road. That's nearly a league worst. Now, they also have to face George Kirby, who's got an ERA in the 3s, along with a 1.04 whip. Now, these Seattle pitchers, they've also shown exceptional control. They walk a league-low 2.5 batters per 9. And in their last 10 meetings with Detroit, the M's held the Tigers to under 3.4 runs a game. So with all that said and done, give me Seattle minus $160, under 7. And with that, folks, now it is time for our quick pick recap. Give me the Phillies plus $1.15, under 9.5. Baltimore Orioles plus $1, over 8 runs. San Francisco Giants minus 150, over 8. And if you want to see which one of these free picks on this video that I'm actually betting on personally, you may want to think about signing up for my $1.99 daily best play on my website. It costs just $1.99 for 30 days of service. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. Give me Arizona plus 1.5, under 9. LA Dodgers plus $1, under 7.5. Milwaukee Brewers plus $1, over 9.5 runs. Atlanta Braves minus 1.5, over 9. Chicago Cubs plus $1, under 9 runs. Texas Rangers minus 135, under 8.5. Tampa Bay Rays minus 1.5, over 8.5. Washington Nationals plus 1.5 over 8. Colorado plus 1.5 under 10.5 runs. LA Angels minus 160 under 7.5. Minnesota Twins minus 185 under 6.5. With my next and final free pick for the video, give me the Mariners minus 160 under 7. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. One final reminder, guys, if you want to sign up for a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just keep in mind, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, guys, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. That's why I always tell folks that Chairman membership, it's a full access, all-inclusive package. It gives you access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my Chairman podcast absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. And of course, that Chairman podcast is going to come back on Friday. Had a couple days off there. We're not going to go into vast detail of NBA Summer League games and All-Star, picks. That is not worth a Chairman podcast. But what is worth a Chairman podcast is real traditional Major League Baseball, which is what we have starting Friday. So you will see that Chairman podcast back in action on Friday. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.